welcome back. I know this isn't a video that I normally would make, but I'm kind of excited and I want to bring more attention to it. So, if all you care about is the title and the thumbnail or whatever, then here you go. This is it right here. 2 days ago, April 23rd, 2024, someone found, I'm not sure exactly who it was originally, that there had been some stuff done on the back end for a Repentance Plus, as you can see right here. It says Repentance Plus right there. Now, I believe this staging stuff means it's in staging. It's not done by any means, and that kind of lines up with some things I'll get into later. But regardless, just so you know, that's it. That's basically the most basic, definite. They're making things. Things are happening behind the scenes at the very least. That's all you care about. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed. But I have other stuff to go over because I kind of want to make this a bit more of an informational video than just here's this news, because otherwise why would I make a video about it at all? I wouldn't. Anyways, so I'll take you over to my slideshow. That isn't a slideshow at all because I couldn't be bothered to learn how to use Google Slides. So here is what we know as, it says right there. In terms of what is definitely happening in the future with Repentance, we know balance changes are coming. There was a huge, months-long, arc about this, where there was a huge poll just about all of the items pretty much, because the admin asked, hey, can the community do a poll for the Isaac items in Repentance? And so eventually they finally did that. I think there might have also been one for trinkets, I'm not 100% sure, but he definitely wanted that too at the very least. But yeah, balance changes definitely coming. Besides that, obviously online co-op will also be shipping alongside it. He said this recently in a tweet as of April 25th when I'm recording this. He said that fairly recently that they will be shipping together, and as my third point says, they plan to release all of that stuff by November. Now, I'm not making any claims as to whether or not this is actually going to be part of some DLC or whatnot, because I have zero idea. I don't work at Nicholas, shockingly. But this is just a TLDR for what is definitely happening, at least at some point, for the future of Isaac. Now, I do have some personal, well, not even personal, just some speculation about this as a whole. It's not anything crazy, it's just some general stuff that I think is liable to happen, not necessarily guaranteed by any means. So, first off, this is probably, what all of those changes that were aforementioned are about. It's not confirmed, but I think it would be weird for them to have this update already planned all the way back, in April at this point, even further behind really. For November, and then they just decide, okay, let's also start working on a DLC or something. That would be a bit strange in my opinion, but who's to say? My guess is that it almost certainly is under that. There could be other things, who knows? There is also the possibility here that it's just a title they're using in the workplace. An inside title is what I said. I couldn't remember what they're actually called. Just a thing they're calling it. Not necessarily, oh, we're making Repentance Plus. They may not even add a plus to the title when this update drops. It could just be an update, but it's big enough that they have to have an internal working name for it. So don't get your hopes up is my point. But to feed into the hype a little bit at least, because I think you can easily make a fair balance of hype and realism. With it being Plus, that obviously harkens back to Afterbirth Plus, which added a fair bit. It added Greedio, it added Delirium, and it added a bunch of unlocks for everyone, and of course it added Apollyon and eventually the Forgotten, as well as all the booster pack unlocks. So point being, there is the possibility that it could have some unlocks and therefore bosses. If it is exactly like Afterbirth Plus, then it would probably be adding 2. And yeah, so it's possible. I think it's definitely possible there. And Killbone, although he's not really working on Isaac as far as we know, um, he did say in the past that a new character is never out of the question. It's not necessarily likely, but he didn't shut it down basically. So I would not be surprised if that could also be a possibility. Okay, and here's the personal slide. This is all just my stupid thoughts. None of this is confirmed. This is a very important disclaimer. It's just my ideas, as it says right there. So don't take any of this and run with it. The first thought that came to me, despite Voidwheel being right there, was actually more greed mode stuff. I'm not a huge greed mode fan. I've learned to hate it a lot less because I've learned how to just pretty reliably win it. But I would not be shocked if more greed mode came into being. Specifically, as I say here, Outpath. I even made a little mock-up, terrible, awful design for a corpse variant of Ultra Greed. I highly doubt that would happen, but they do have some internal data for alt-path versions of the greed mode flows, or I guess greed mode version of the alt-path flows is a bit more accurate. So I could see that happening. That obviously wouldn't be its own mode, although I wouldn't be shocked if they did another mode in general as well. But yeah, I could see that happening, maybe as like just, in that final room at the end, after you beat all the waves, there's a key door that you can go through to access, that. And then you also, somehow they'll have to make it so, things like the mines and to a lesser extent Mausoleum, can be accessed guaranteed. I guess probably like, if you're on Downpour, then, or I guess if you're on like Caves or Downpour, I suppose, then bombs are guaranteed to be in the shop, same as keys. Something like that. I don't know. That's just an idea off the top of my head. Regardless, they'll have to do something because, especially for mines, Mausoleum and the alternative is significantly lesser of an issue. But mines definitely would have to have something. But yeah, I think that's a possibility. I think it's realistically not too unlikely. Void Rework is the big talking point that has been the big talking point for a very long time at this point. I very much doubt it. There's a reason I put probably not. The main reason is Killbone not being with us. He didn't die, but he's not doing Isaac stuff, obviously. Unless, but who knows? It is possible. I think we've seen perfectly fine stuff come out of Nicholas before, and Isaac without Killbone in general. I mean, I'd say Rebirth's pretty good, especially Mega Satan. I think he was a pretty good boss from the original version of this era of Isaac. I'd say in Afterbirth, honestly, Ultra Greed's fine. I don't have a real issue with him. I just don't really like the mode too much. I like Hush. I think he's a pretty good boss. And I think Delirium conceptually is fine. Even the looks of him is fine. I don't think he'd need like a sprite change. I think he just needs to be changed in how he functions. And so I think if they got the time, they could. I think it would be possible. Even without Killbone supervision. Because honestly, I think there was a fairly decent quality in Afterbirth and Rebirth. Afterbirth Plus was the only stinker because the original release was just under a time crunch. Well, that and Edmund didn't really care. He was like depressed or whatever at the time. I don't mean to downplay it. I just don't really know, honestly. The point being, Delirium got boned. I don't think he is inherently going to always be a bad boss, and I think they could totally make him work even without Killbone. And I guess while on the topic of Killbone, despite it being the more controversial possibility, you never know. It's been not 2 years, it's been about a year since he officially announced that he's done working on Isaac. It's not happening anymore. Now, he did not say, I'm never, ever, 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 ever doing Isaac again. He said, I'm done for the foreseeable future. He wants the Avoid update, from me, at least. Uh, so, point being, it is technically possible. This, I am especially wanting to bring attention to as probably not. I do not hold that much stock in it. I just think it's been a while. If it's being called Repentance Plus, I mean, who knows? Maybe it's big enough to be its own DLC. And yeah, DLC is a possibility. I didn't really include that here because it's just like, so what do you want me to say about that? It's just okay, could be a DLC. Yep. All right. Yeah. Killbone, I think it's possible. There's a chance. Although I feel like he probably would have announced it beforehand. I don't think he would just be like, oh, by the way, I'm now working on this as it releases. Like, I mean, it doesn't really make too much sense to me, but I figured I'd include it because if it really is going to be a big update, then who better than Killbone to work on it? And lastly, it's not too controversial, but I don't think it's too likely either. General tweaks to the routing of the game. I think especially Mother has this mod that I yoinked off the workshop. Explains, just continuing past Mother. I think that's a very good one to have. It kind of, I don't really think it makes sense for it to end at Mother, especially because if it was meant to end at Mother, why don't you just do Beast/Mega Satan mode and just say, alright, it's over. Sorry. Like, just cut to a cutscene immediately. There's nothing wrong with that, inherently. I mean, I'm not a huge fan of it necessarily, especially with Mega Satan. But, yeah, I think it seems like a no-brainer, in my opinion, to let runs continue past Mother. Like, what's the harm in it, really? Besides that, I think Mega Satan, I do think that Mega Satan becoming a 100% chance to make a Void Portal would be fair. I don't think that's that hard of a take. It provides an alternative to Hush as a guaranteed Delirium Warp, or Void Warp, whatever you want to call it. It still takes effort, it just takes a different type of effort. It's less so, go fast and kill this hard boss. It's more so just, actually go for this boss that you probably don't care about once you've already gotten the marks, so you can access Delirium. And it would make Delirium a much more reliable fight to access in general. I mean, that's really all I can truly think about in terms of tweaks to routing, but I do imagine just more general balance changes as well, even outside of items, is liable to happen. As far as I'm aware, Leather Ice Cream and Sagittarius are still probably working on the game, or at least, are on the contract if things were to occur. So I do think, rooms could be touched up, or maybe new ones could be added, or sprites could get changed, or blah, 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 blah. So I do think, more general changes like that is a decent possibility as well. Didn't put that there because it's just kind of basic. So yeah, I think that's generally it. If you enjoyed this information, thanks. I hope you did. This is unscripted, obviously, by the stuttering I've probably had throughout, lots of uhs and ums. But yeah, if that's all you came here for, thanks for watching. I'm probably not going to be making more videos like this. I don't know. Who knows? Who's to say? But I don't necessarily plan on it. It kind of depends on what happens with Isaac in general. I don't really tend to cover news. Regardless, thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you whenever I upload something again. Bye!